How many times have you started typing a formula in Excel only to get stuck on a comma, a parentheses, or some other piece of jargon that you just didn't understand? Most people think that being good at Excel means memorizing hundreds of functions. It doesn't. Today, I'm going to show you the one button that does all of the memorizing for you so that you can make complex formulas, even nested ones, without having to worry about any of that complicated syntax. Now, in order for me to show you this, we're going to jump into Excel. And before I take you to that one button, what I'm going to do is show you how we write our functions manually. So if we look at this workbook, I've got my cell selected on rate per hour here, and I have a title column over there to the left. And what I'm going to use is a function called if. So we're going to type an equal sign. I'm going to type if, open paren, and now you'll see it wants a logical test. So I want to check this cell here, F2, and I want to see if F2 is equal to associate, and then I'll type a comma, which takes me to the value to return if it's true. If it's true, I want to return 250, and then a comma, and then the value to return if it's false. I'm going to type a 0. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the paren, and then I'll press enter, and that returns a value for me. So that's how I used to write my functions a long time ago. But now I use the button that I'm about to show you to make things a whole lot better. In fact, if you're in a recent version of Excel, you'll have a whole tab up here dedicated to formulas, which have all sorts of buttons that help you find and use the function that you want. Notice the first of these buttons is a giant insert function button, an FX button. But for me, most of the time when I'm in Excel, I use, next to the formula bar, this teeny little FX button right there because that's available no matter which tab is selected in my workbook. So if you click on this, this brings up the Insert Function dialog box, which allows you to search for your function, browse for it by category, and more. So we're going to click here in the first box. Actually, I was already selected here. I'm going to type if and press enter. This returns to me a list of functions that might match what I want. Now, if I want to browse by category, I can do that here. And when I was young in Excel, I went to all and I reviewed every function in there to understand what Excel was capable of. But today, I know that there's a grouping for logical, and if falls within that group. So these are the different kinds of things that can look at my workbook and decide based on conditions what to do. So we're going to choose if. Below that, I see the syntax, which is all of the stuff that's required for this function to return a value, and then a summary that tells me what the function is. What's more is there's a link at the bottom for help on this function, and if I click that, it takes me to a Microsoft website, to a page that's dedicated to this function with all sorts of learning materials and videos that can help me better understand how to use it. We're not going to do that today. Today, I'm just going to click on OK, which brings me to the function arguments dialog box. This function arguments dialog box is for if. It requires 3 arguments. Notice one of them is bold and 2 of them are not. The bold one's required in order for this function to return a value. I couldn't tell that from the tip text that was appearing on the worksheet, but the function arguments dialog box makes it really clear. Logical test is any value or expression that can be evaluated as true or false. So this test, I want to check to see if the title, and actually I'm in row 3 now, the title is equal to something. So I'm going to click here on the title instead of typing the name because it's less likely that you'll make a clicko. I want to check to see if that's equal to associate, and then close. And then the value of true is I want to return 250, and like before, I can say the value for false. If I leave it blank, it'll just return the word false. I don't want that. So instead, I'm going to return 0, or you can return quote, quote, which means leave it blank. So let's go ahead and click OK here. And now we've written our function without having to type a single comma or parentheses. Now, the next thing I want to tell you about insert function, and one of the things that makes it really powerful is, yes, you can use it when you start with a blank cell and you want to write a function for the first time. But you can also use it when you return to that cell and you want to adjust the function that you've written. So I'm going to select this cell that has my function in it. I'll click FX. And when I do that, it brings me back to the function arguments dialog box. And here I can change what I've written so that, here, let's see, I want to do senior associate. So let's replace associate with senior associate. And let's say that the amount we want is 300 if that's the title. Click OK. And that's not the title there, but let's copy this function and paste it down to the next row. And you'll see Ah yes, senior associate, the function is working as expected. So one of the things that it took me years to learn and saves me tons of time in every workbook that I work in is that you can use your function arguments, or you could bring back the function arguments dialog box like we just did by clicking the FX again. But here's the thing I didn't know. You can actually create nested functions using the built-in function arguments dialog box. So let me actually do this at the next cell above so we can have a meaningful example here. So if I click here on the FX, I'm back in the function arguments dialog box, and I'm going to click here under false because sometimes when you check a condition, like, does it say senior associate in this cell? If it does, you want a certain value. And if it doesn't, then maybe you want to do a different check. So what I'd like to do here is, instead of giving it a value to return for false, I'd like to use another function in its place. Now, here's the part that I didn't notice in all of the years I was using Excel. The name box, which is just to the left of the FX button, normally tells you the name of the cell that you have selected on the sheet. However, we're in the middle of writing a function using the insert function dialog box, and so the name box changes into essentially a function box. It allows you to find other functions that you might want to include in one of these function arguments dialog boxes. So if I wanted to, I could go here to more function and find exactly the function I want, but the one I want's already here. It's if. So I'm going to click if, and then this blanks out the function arguments dialog box because it started writing a nested function inside of the function that already existed. And I can see that by looking at the formula bar here. There's my senior associate check, and then my new if is right there, function arguments dialog box. So maybe this time I want to see if it says partner, I want to return, oh, excuse me, if if the title is equal to, quote, partner, it has to be a logical check, then what I want to return is 350. Otherwise, and I can continue to do this again, if I've been paying close attention when I first opened the function arguments, or excuse me, the insert function dialog box before I even chose if, it would have told me I can nest my if functions up to 7 layers deep. So in this case, I could do it again. I could come up here and I could dive another level deeper into my function. But instead of doing that this time, I'm going to return blank, and then I'm going to click OK. So we have built a nested function directly inside of a cell using the insert function and function arguments dialog boxes. And I guess the last thing I would want to tell you is that when you return to the FX button again on that function, the one that has the nested values in it, you can see here, there's my first logic check, there's my first value that I return, there's my nested function. If I want to change focus, you can actually tweak your functions using the formula bar with the function arguments dialog box open. I can click into another part of my formula, and you'll notice that the function argument dialog box changes to focus on the function that we're selecting. So if I click here on the first one, this is checking for senior associate. If I click here on the next if, this is the one that's checking for partner. So in that way, you can adjust and focus on different parts of your nested functions. And then once you have everything the way that you want, you click OK, and you've saved yourself. You haven't had to fight with a single parenthesis. You haven't had to count any commas. And now you've got Excel doing all of the hard work for you, remembering the functions that you want, showing you how to use them, and when necessary, giving you tutorial pages so that you can brush up on it before you finish writing that function. Anyway, if you'd like to get better at Excel, I have a free download that you can get from a link in the description to my FAST guide, which gives you an overview of the FAST framework that I help people use to get faster at using Microsoft Excel. Do you have a special function or feature that you like in Excel? Drop it in the comments and let us know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.